Do you see any issue in terms of having a naming convention that ties everything together? Usually there's a rule of thumb that talks about having intelligent numbers. That's usually kind of frowned upon. Well, what's your take on that? It seems to me like no, you can actually have fairly intelligent naming numbers here.
What do you mean? Like hard-coded values? No, you don't
No,
hard-code anything.
well, no, not hardcore values, but like names that they have. There's meaning inherent in the names. They're not just random numbers.
Well, okay. So there's two types of names in the SAP system. There's the long description, and then there's the technical name.
Right.
Now, they're used differently by the system. The computer is always sorting on the technical name. It don't care about the long description. It doesn't sort on those. So you have to separate. I want the long description to make sense to the human. The long description is for the human's understanding, and the short description is for the computer's understanding. So if I try to give my technical name a description that's going to make sense to the human, the problem is the computer is going to be sorting that name and it scatters them around the system. So what you really want to do is you want the computer to work for you and not against you.
Right.
So when I try to give my technical name an intelligent name that makes sense to the human, the problem is the computer is going to be sorting those and it scatters them out. So what I really want to do is let's say I'm doing a bunch of work in inventory. I want all of my technical names to say inventory something, INV, so that the computer will group those together rather than scatter them out. So when they're grouped together and I need to build a table, I just highlight that whole group, drag and drop at my table, and it's done. I mean, that's how fast development is. Start at the top, highlight to the bottom, drag and drop. Okay, I just build a table right in front of you. That's how fast you can really work. And I do it, okay, every day. But when you use a random name, you have to spend 40 minutes. I got to go up here, search, okay, I need that, and then I got to search, and it takes a long time to do that, to build up one table. And then you're still not sure if it's correct or not. When you have all your names lined up together, and there's just one slight variation in the technical name, it's real easy to do error correction now, or it's real easy to say, this one's missing. Or if you have a new developer come in and they don't follow that naming convention, you're going to see that. And you say, hey, you named this wrong, go back and change the name. And it's okay to rip something out and rebuild it if it's going to make a better system. And I've spent a lot of time ripping stuff out and rebuilding it because I know at the end of the day, I'm removing errors from the system that the customer is not going to have to fight 5 years, 15 years from now.
Do you think overall it gives your end users greater confidence in the system, or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when they run it, it functions the way they expect it to function. They don't have issues because you've already found and removed the issues.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to talk a little bit about the long description. The long description, even though I have the technical names lined up like that, the long description is there for the human. So he knows it may be an inventory-related variable, but he may not exactly know what it is. Well, that's your chance in the long description and the short description to explain to the human, hey, this is inventory turns variable. But in the technical description, it won't say nothing about turns or anything. It'll just say it's in the inventory section and it's related to this other batch of work. But if I need to know what it is, that's what I use the long description for. It's for the human's ability, human's understanding, and reserve those technical names for the computer because it'll either work for you or it'll work against you. And you want the computer to do what the computer is supposed to do, is to help the human being.
Of course.
Yeah. So
I know
but you don't learn that in SAP class. You learn that beating your head against the wall trying to figure out how to make the system work. Yes.
One other thing I want to circle back on is business content. Business content is really sold as the key competitive differentiator of SAP. And I personally think, there's a lot of good info in there. But tell me what your experience has been in terms of, naming convention, either lack thereof or no, they're great, or how you can bring naming conventions and business content together to really leverage what SAP's given you. Excuse me.
My experience with business content is a good concept, but it'll only get you about 60% of the way you need of where you need to be in development. The remaining 40%, you're going to have to figure out because every company is different. Every company functions different. They have different processes, and it's up to you as a developer to understand what their processes are and can take that remaining 40% and customize business content to fit your needs. Now, that's the philosophy of business content. Now, business content I don't believe. Now, I don't know the original developer of SAP, that person. I don't know what they were thinking, but I think that their intention of business content is here's a template that you can use to build your system with. So you're not supposed to use, I don't think the intention of business content is you're not supposed to use business content 100%. You're not supposed to use any business content for your development. You're supposed to use what they give you as a template to build your system from. So if I need to create a characteristic for, say, cost center, I'm going to use zero cost center as my template for building my own Z cost center object. And when I do that, I get all the master data, I get all the attributes, right. I get everything. But I don't have to use their zero content. There's a template.
It's a starting point.
It's a starting point. But I use that as a template to create my own cost center, and now I have all the master data. I've got all the initial development work to SAP backing up my object, but my object is correct because I used the zero cost center as the template for that. That's right. How I believe business content was originally intended. But that's not what you see. They said you go to a system, it's just total chaos because, well, let's take business content. Okay, that's our system. It's total chaos. You got German names in there. The system's going crazy, sorting things and scattering all out, and you wind up with a big chaotic mess of a system. That
what I think happens is, I know for a fact that like IBM, they just have their Indian Development Center activate every single piece of business content, even though that goes totally contradictory to what SAP's recommendation is, versus going through it and analyzing it and seeing which part of it applies and getting just that piece. We're not really sure why we see that, but I know it's happening on a couple of projects right now, and it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, a lot.
All right.
Anyway, those are problems, and I've solved those. I've solved them.
Yeah, exactly. There's an approach to it. Well, listen, I don't want to keep you from your pointed rounds today. Just one other question. Have you been able to fix any of the naming conventions or implement an improved naming convention on your current project? We won't mention who the client is, but...
Yeah, I have actually. We spent a lot of time trying to, the group of work that we're doing, naming convention was kind of a new concept to them.
So they didn't have a concept.
They didn't really have a concept, but I sort of, just say, here, let me give you my choice of initial names. Let's see if that makes sense to you. And it's like, yes, let's use that. Let's grab that and use it. So now we have a common conversation. If it's inventory, if it's labor efficiency, if it's scrap and yield, we don't have to guess. Hey, is this report or is this table related to one of these different business areas? The name tells us what it's related to. So, and we just use a real simple numbering at the end of this. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we got 6 of those.
Right.
But they're all related to this business area, the sub area, and there's 6 of them. So, yeah.
So you've been able to bring the concept even to this current project.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, well, listen, that's good. I'm really glad we had a chance to chat today, and we'll have to do another one sometime on another subject of interest to you. So,
okay,
really appreciate it. Talk to you later. Thanks.
Okay, have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.